Conservative estimate of destroyed black wealth exceeds $50 billion in modern currency. But physical destruction was only half the mechanism. The second layer was legislative. After Reconstruction collapsed,
this is still showing our progression from slavery going forward.
In 1877, Southern states implement black codes designed specifically to restrict black economic mobility. Mississippi's Pig Law redefines theft of any property over $10 as grand larceny, punishable by 5.
They have did everything to stop us. Redlining, mass incarcerations, to slow our population down, to stop us, because they know once we get freedom, we move. We don't need America. America needs foundation of black American Indians and the Israelites, and the African needs us too, and all black people need us. They look at us as the leadership because we the only black people in the world still fighting white supremacists. We the only one have them bent over, gave in. And so it's not true that we stopped fighting and they had us enslaved. We always resisted white supremacists. We always fought them. Our ancestors always came up with consumptions to get them back. Don't have, I'm reading about things. Our ancestors, they had them cooking their food. They had our ancestors babysitting their children. You treating us like animals and then you want me to cook your food? I'm just saying. So we've always been resistant.
Hard labor, creating a convict leasing system that generates millions in state revenue. Vagrancy laws require proof of employment. Zoning laws prevent black businesses from operating in white commercial districts. Banking regulations deny black entrepreneurs access to capital. Robert Reed Church Sr., the Memphis millionaire, survives being shot in the head during the 1866 Memphis riots. He opens a saloon, invests in real estate during the city's yellow fever collapse when property values crater. By 1900, he owns Church Park, the only recreational space in Memphis where black residents can gather. He builds the 600-seat Church Auditorium, hosting Booker T. Washington, Teddy Roosevelt, and W.E.B. Du Bois. His daughter, Mary Church Terrell, becomes one of the first black women to earn a college degree. His son, Robert Jr., builds Solvent Savings Bank, the first black-owned bank in Tennessee. Yet when Robert Sr. dies in 1912, his obituary in the white-owned Memphis Commercial Appeal runs 4 sentences. His financial records are excluded from business school curricula. The pattern of erasure targets not just individuals, but the knowledge itself. The third layer was academic. W.E.B. Du Bois publishes The Negro in Business in 1899, documenting thousands of black enterprises with precise financial data. His work is largely ignored by mainstream economics departments. Carter G. Woodson founds the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History in 1915, publishing the Journal of Negro History in 1916. White historians dismiss the journal as biased. Major universities do not subscribe. When textbooks cover Reconstruction, they emphasize failure and corruption, using language directly lifted from Confederate apologists. The lost cause narrative rewrites history to position emancipation as economic disaster, erasing every black millionaire whose existence contradicts that claim. Follow the chain. If black Americans could achieve millionaire status within decades of slavery, then segregation could not be justified as paternalistic protection. If black communities could build prosperous towns, then Jim Crow could not be framed as natural separation. Exclusionary laws revealed their true purpose, not maintaining order, but maintaining hierarchy. The evidence survived anyway. Property deeds filed in county courthouses, business licenses, tax records, newspaper advertisements, photographs, oral histories, legal documents, insurance policies, bank ledgers, wills detailing estates worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. But evidence sitting in an archive does not enter public consciousness unless someone teaches it. And that is precisely what did not happen. By 1920, the mechanisms of erasure had intensified into coordinated suppression. The federal government begins tracking Negro statistics separately, but the data emphasizes pathology, not achievement. The Census Bureau documents black property ownership, but those figures are buried in technical reports. Meanwhile, the successes multiply. Madam C.J. Walker, born Sarah Breedlove in 1867 to formerly enslaved parents, dies in 1919 with a net worth exceeding $1 million. Her hair care empire employs over 20,000 women, operates factories in 4 cities. She purchases a mansion in Harlem and an estate in Irvington, New York. Her business strategies are studied in exactly 0 business schools during her lifetime. Annie Turnbow Malone, another black hair care magnate whose fortune exceeds Madam Walker's, builds Poro College in St. Louis in 1918, a massive complex housing manufacturing facilities, a beauty school, and an auditorium seating 500. Her company employs 75,000 sales agents nationwide. Her story is almost entirely absent from history textbooks until the 21st century. The backlash comes in waves. Zoning ordinances in dozens of cities specifically prohibit black residents from purchasing property in white neighborhoods. Louisville passes such a law in 1914. The NAACP challenges it. The Supreme Court rules it unconstitutional in Buchanan v. Worley, 1917. But the ruling does not stop the practice. Cities shift to racially restrictive covenants, private contracts prohibiting selling property to black buyers. By 1940, over 80% of Chicago's residential neighborhoods operate under such covenants. The Federal Housing Administration, created in 1934, institutionalizes the practice through redlining, marking black neighborhoods as hazardous for investment, denying mortgages, ensuring generational wealth cannot accumulate through home ownership. Think about Philip Payton Jr., who in 1900 founds the Afro-American Realty Company in New York, opening Harlem to black residents by purchasing buildings white landlords cannot fill during an economic downturn. By 1904, his company manages over 200 properties. He is worth approximately $150,000. Then the backlash hits. White property owners form associations to prevent black migration. Banks refuse loans. The city implements selective building code enforcement. Payton dies in 1917 at 45. His company dissolved. His pioneering strategies are not taught in business schools. The Great Depression hits black communities with devastating force, but it also reveals something crucial. Black banks and insurance companies that survived the 1920s prove more resilient than their white counterparts. North Carolina Mutual Life Insurance Company, founded in 1898 by formerly enslaved individuals, weathers the Depression without failure. By 1945, it is the largest black-owned business in America, with assets exceeding $40 million. Yet when economics textbooks discuss Depression-era finance, North Carolina Mutual does not appear. The strategies that allowed black businesses to survive are not studied. The pattern of resilience contradicts the narrative of dependency that justifies New Deal programs structured to exclude black workers from benefits. The erasure becomes self-reinforcing. If textbooks do not teach black economic achievement, students do not learn it. If students do not learn it, they do not question its absence. Each generation believes it is encountering black poverty as a natural condition, not an engineered outcome. But the evidence keeps accumulating. The National Negro Business League's annual reports document thousands of black-owned enterprises. The Chicago Defender, Pittsburgh Courier, and Amsterdam News publish regular features on black millionaires. Probate records list estates worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Someone was keeping track. The question is, who had access to those records, and who controlled the narrative about what they meant? The historical breaking point comes not in a single moment, but in a cascading series of legal and social confrontations that force the suppressed narrative toward the surface. Brown v. Board of Education declares school segregation unconstitutional. The decision does not mention the wealth gap, does not address the destroyed property, does not acknowledge the millionaires whose existence contradicted segregationist logic, but it cracks open a door. The resistance is immediate. Southern states pass laws prohibiting teaching about racial equality. Textbook publishers, wary of Southern markets that constitute 30% of their sales, refuse content that contradicts lost cause mythology. The compromise produces textbooks that mention Martin Luther King Jr. and Rosa Parks, while continuing to frame black history as victimhood requiring white intervention. But something is shifting. In 1968,
we the one was the brain. We were the inventors, the builders, and they kept destroying us and teaching, indoctrinating people into a white history. Ooh.